Gentlemen, the momentous election for all of us in the United States of America in exactly 1 week's time. There's already a little bit of a rise in the price of shipping because the United States has failed to secure the shipping lanes in the Middle East. So the insurance companies had to raise the cost of insurance, which then drove up the cost of shipping, and those shipping companies who didn't want to pay it had to sail across the Cape of Good Hope, which is right across the south, which also increased the cost of shipping for those who live very far away from the United States, who don't have citizenship and don't seem to have any impact on the election at all, it would seem. The future in any case, neither I nor you nor any expert knows, just like we don't know now whose is the real favorite, because both candidates, according to actual polls and statistics as of October 29th, they're running in line. I personally would vote for Trump. I'll be honest, I don't like Trump, but I would vote for him because I believe that Kamala Harris is even worse. What's wrong with Kamala Harris? First of all, she would be a natural extension of the White House administration, which is the most tolerant administration in the history of the United States of America since the War of Independence. A dozen military hotbeds around the world have emerged precisely under Biden. The average person who didn't know who the Islamic Jihad, what Hezbollah is, it was under Biden that people started to understand. Because all of these groups had gained incredible power. Their power is that they don't get any consequences for their actions. They fire on humanitarian merchant ships in Bab el-Mandeb in the Dap Strait, and nothing happens to them. It's an objective fact that you can't argue with, is that Kim Jong-un has been far less aggressive precisely under Trump. Trump is one of the few U.S. presidents, if not the only one, whose footprints has set foot in North Korean territory. Today, Kim is quietly launching his missiles off the coast of Japan. China is conducting a military exercise off the coast of Taiwan shores and implicitly saying that invading Taiwan is a matter of principle and, most importantly, timing. And it would seem that the PRC should realize the crushing impact of the sanctions it could face if it were to get into the Taiwan adventure, because the U.S. is its most important key trading partner. But China seems to have sensed that there will be no sanctions. They're going to be avoided because under Biden, it's been proven that there's never going to be anything coherent with anyone. Biden can't decide whether he's for Palestine or Israel. He seemed to support Israel, but condemned it a bunch of times, hasn't given any weapons, and he hasn't helped the Palestinians. Have you heard anything about Sudan? No, because it's not fashionable to write about it today, but look at what's happening in Sudan today. Of course, this inflation of fuel price increases, of the emigration crisis on the southern border is a complete catastrophe, where at its peak more than tens of thousands of people a day, more than tens of thousands, illegally sneaking into the United States. While you're agonizing and driving around the world to embassies in the United States trying to get a tourist visa, they've got a border that's been breached, including cartel members, spies from China, and many other characters. This is all under Biden. Biden didn't open the border to talent. He opened it to criminals. It's a very troubling sign that under this administration that we've heard anew about Texas separatism, the Lone Star State, as it calls itself. Because Texas can't accept the fact that the federal government is completely powerless. What's wrong with Donald Trump? Let's start with the main one. He has obvious symptoms of a dictator. The real wake-up call was when he failed to recognize his defeat in 2020. He said this election was stolen, and I'll admit it, I believed it myself. There were a couple of videos of some weird stuff going on at the polls. Fox TV, where Tucker Carlson was the lead anchor at the time, who put out a bunch of information that didn't hold up in court. They had to pay nearly $1 billion in damages to the company that made of the voting machines because the court proved that Tucker was lying. The cult of personality and the cult of personality around Trump, it's no normal.